Joining us with reaction is American Conservative Union Chair Matt Schlapp, former White House press secretary and Fox News contributor Ari Fleischer, and former Obama economic advisor Austan Goolsbee. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight. Not that there's anything to talk about, right?
Right.
Look, let's start, Matt, with you. There's an extraordinary development here. I mean, as we're looking at the statement that is made, I think of this as somebody who's actually, not that I agree with any of the Democrats, but appreciate the fact that they stepped forward. They've raised money. They've followed all the rules, right? They've been debating each other in this environment, and they've stepped forward. And now you've got people effectively saying you're no good, and we're going to do it better. Matt, what do you think Bloomberg actually will do this seriously, and what exactly would be the impact, do you think?
Look, Tammy, it is a little bit odd. We are awfully late in terms of having to file and register in these states to jump into this race. We've had so many debates, as you said. But what I think is happening in the Democratic race is that you have socialists and you have non-socialists. And I think for the non-socialists, most of them are still liberals. They look at the squad, and quite frankly, they look at Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, and they say there's got to be somebody who can pick up the slack with just a little bit more reasonable policies. They thought that was going to be Joe Biden. Joe Biden is clearly flailing. Yeah. The people around Hillary Clinton say she's really, the people I've talked to say she actually really is looking at it. There are other names floating. This is an SOS from the Democratic Party.
It is, and which is, I find, Ari, kind of strange, considering you had 8 years of Barack Obama. You had, a development of the Democratic agenda and the narrative. And yet there seems to be this void. Now, of course, the people running would disagree. Shouldn't the establishment of the Democratic Party allow the Democratic base to decide what they want the party to be? Well, don't they deserve that at least?
Well, in the modern era, it's up to the candidates to decide. There really is no establishment organization. There are no parties anymore that have control over candidates. So that's why people like the former Attorney General Holder, they're free to just jump into a race if they want. But Matt's put his finger on it. There's a tremendous split inside the Democratic Party, and the split's between liberals and socialists. There are no moderates left. There are no conservatives left. And so the realization is they may blow their opportunity to defeat Donald Trump in 2020 if they go too far to the left. And even their former conservatives and moderates, like a Joe Biden, he's run too far to the left. So I think they're just hurting themselves in a year in which they could potentially win, but not if they nominate that wrong candidate.
Well, and this is it. I think, Austan, that for you being involved, of course, with the Democratic Party and with Obama and the nature of the narrative of what the Democrats care about, isn't it kind of strange that with whether it's Holder or Bloomberg, wouldn't this just create more division, more chaos that would lead to people not even having a nominee that would be able to garner the complete support, not just of the base, but of leadership in general as it exists in the party?
Maybe. Boy, I hope not. I kind of agree. What Ari said is right. The party doesn't decide these things. So anybody's free to run if they want to run. And, if somebody got $50 billion, they can run a lot of ads. But remember, if Mike Bloomberg self-finances, he doesn't get to join in any of the debates. They have the cutoff criteria to get in the debates. And if he doesn't get in the debates, I think he will have a hard time. I applaud that he would do this within the Democratic Party, not play the role of kind of third-party spoiler.
But isn't he a spoiler internally? Because, look, isn't it convenient that he would be able to do a dynamic and not have to face the debates? Isn't that a convenient? And isn't it stealing it from the other individuals who have been running, following all those rules? This is the nature of what he's suggesting here, is that he's just going to walk in and steal it.
If the Democratic electorate wants to vote for him, then it's not really stealing. But as I look at it, I don't really see that. I don't know how old Mayor Bloomberg is, but I think it's 75, 76. An old white guy. There have been a lot of old white guys running. So I don't know where he's fitting into the firmament.
Yeah, Matt, again, this is, of course, I think, great news for President Trump. It's great news for Republicans. And I would have to disagree that suddenly there's this argument that there's no establishment. We're seeing when it comes to the resistance to President Trump that there is. And then, in fact, there is a DNC. There is supposed to be some infrastructure here that's running the debates and running, fundraising and is involved in all those races. Was it Hillary's collapse that destroyed any kind of infrastructure? What's going on here?
Yeah, no, it is interesting. I think a lot of the socialist activists in the Democratic Party have taken over the levers of power, Tammy, and I think they are the ones who are going to be the dominant voices in these primaries. It's actually the establishment D.C. and New York City Democrats that are pushing back against these activists in these early states, and they're saying, my Lord, we're not going to let somebody of the ilk of the squad get the nomination, a socialist get the nomination of our party. We have to do something to push back. I agree with Austin that, the voters should get to decide in the end. This is going to be a messy process for them like it was for us 3 years ago. That can be good for a party. And I don't want the Democrats to succeed, but I don't think this looks very good. I actually think the biggest problem they have is that we're in a very strong economy, and we're not going around the globe apologizing about being Americans anymore. And I think the president is in actually a very strong shape to get reelected.
Ari, at the same time, if you're looking after, of course, 8 years of Barack Obama, you'd think that there'd be some kind of understanding of what the Democratic Party stands for. What happened that created this void of leadership and of ideas and of theory? It seems remarkable that you would have such a control over the government, change the healthcare system, and you walk out with no talent bench. And forgive me for those who are running, but it really does seem to be a lot of chaos. And even with the polls, Joe Biden is the one still leading. How did this happen that the Democrats have been left high and dry?
Well, first of all, I would slightly disagree. There's not been a void of ideas. There's been a void of good ideas.
Well, these are old ideas. But no, there's no new. Socialism clearly is an old, dead idea, and it's recycled.
No,
there's nothing new about it.
What's happened inside the Democratic Party is ideas that previously were thought to be too radical have now become mainstream, such as if you cross the border illegally this morning, you get free government-sponsored health care this afternoon, that everybody in America should have free pre-K, everybody should have free health care, everybody should have free college, everybody should have their college loans forgiven.
What are your pronouns?
This is the problem with what the Democrats have, this is the problem with what the Democrats have espoused, is they are running full bore to the socialist left with specific policies that the American people largely reject.
Austin,
What's really happened is
let me ask
focus on President Trump. People miss the left.
All right, but let me ask Austin.
I think you guys are kidding yourself.
Wait, where's Barack Obama? He has a phone, I'm sure. When he was president, he had a phone and a pen. Is he not talking with anyone or trying to have some kind of leadership? Hillary clearly is obsessed with her own loss and her inability to accept that. Wouldn't Barack Obama be trying to perhaps inspire or direct or try to contain some of the nature of what's going on here? Where is this guy?
He's trying. I think he's actively, like previous presidents before him, he's actively not trying to take sides and choose up and direct Democrats.
Even as the party collapses.
Or who not. The party's not collapsing. That's why I think you guys are kidding yourselves. If you look at the polls, yes, Bernie Sanders is a self-described socialist. But if you look at the major Democratic candidates, if you look at Mayor Pete's economic plan he put out today, if you look at Vice President Biden, if you look at the policies that you're describing as socialist, they're supported by 2/3 of the American people. The giving the choice of Medicare to everyone in the country, that's supported by a majority of Republicans.
Open borders,
so I think you guys should just be careful.
And forgiving, all
reparations.
School loans.
That was Bernie Sanders'
That's not true. Yeah.
All right, abolition of private insurance.
Fellas, thank you very much. Matt, Ari, Austin, I appreciate you joining me tonight. Thank you. When we come back.